Welcome, Jordon Ibe, to the Sports Agents. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Kelly is on the Sports Agents today, and there is a connection because it's partly because of Kelly's dad, Kenny, that you actually signed for Liverpool in the first place.
Correct. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
This would have been 2011. So it was out of United and Liverpool, but I was slightly a Liverpool fan due to my dad supporting Liverpool, and Kenny Dalglish, he's a phenomenal, he's an icon, legendary. So it was a yes.
Did the club kind of make sure that you met him and
yeah,
press flesh?
Because he came to come meet me, and once I got there, it was like an uncle to me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was talking to him earlier, and he's like, "Oh, say hello." He's like, I remember going in and training with him, and just talking about how much talent that you have. It was just really interesting to hear him from his perspective, because obviously I see a lot of young players coming through, and
he didn't have to show so much love, and I credit him on that, because he would even check up on my mum, see how I'm doing. Yeah.
So at the time, there's names that everybody will know playing there in terms of Steven Gerrard was there, wasn't he? Jordan Henderson was there, Daniel Sturridge was there as well. But it was Kenny that lured you in to Liverpool, and obviously one of the biggest clubs in the world. At that age, when you're making such a huge move and moving cities and having to just transplant your life somewhere, tell us about the support system and the mechanism that gets you there.
Well, Liverpool done well by bringing my family up north, because that was foreign to me. I had never been even past Birmingham or out of London, so they helped me in that aspect, and getting my brother and sister into schools because they were quite young at the time, and getting my mum a place so I could stay with her, because I didn't really want to go into digs at quite a young age, because I was going to be turning 15. So it was quite young, and
but so
it all worked out.
Do you know, I always think that about young players, especially as young as you were, because that's particularly young as well, isn't it? I mean,
because other players is 17, 18.
Yeah.
I was 50, just turning 15.
But even that idea of your whole family moving, and you suddenly go at 14, 15, you almost in a way sort of become not quite the head of the family, but you're the one that everything revolves around.
Because I was in year 10 in school.
And you become, as Kenny says, kind of like the head of the family, because the world is revolving around you and it's all on you. Therefore, even if you don't realise it kind of consciously, to make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
I tried my hardest.
Yeah. What was that like? Did you recognise that at the time?
Not at the time, because when they said that they could bring family up, I just thought it was a normal thing.
Yeah.
But I made sure I said that. So my thing was, I just want to get on a pitch and start playing football. Not in the first team, but just be at Kirby, just start playing football, get in the reserves, just wear the kit. Have my first game. But it started kicking in maybe 17, 18. And, once I signed, you get your scholarship, and then 3 months after you get a professional contract. That's when I knew,
And the money goes up, and the lifestyle can change as well. So it's great that you did have your family there. Just on the kind of transition and moving to the north, though, I understand that even Scouse was a problem for you at the beginning. Is that right?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a joke, but I've said it elsewhere that when trying to listen to what they're saying, whether it's the manager or some of the Scouse players, to me it was like Norwegian. I didn't understand it at all, because it's quite different to me. And then some of the other players, because Liverpool's one of the biggest clubs, and having some of the biggest foreign players at a young age, there's no one I could talk to. So the only person I could really relate with was maybe Raheem, if I saw him, because he was with the first team, or Lloyd Jones, Andre Wisdom, Michael Engu. They spoke, some were from London and Lloyd was from Plymouth. I could understand him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know when you talk about just wanting to get on the pitch, because not every player loves football.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I used to play like when I got into the first team. Funny enough, that game where I gave Coutinho a assist on my debut, my first start. After the game, I went down because the season finished. I went down to where I live, which is like London Bridge. It's not too far from here. And I want to go play football again in the evening. No lie. And then watch Match of the Day with my friends.
And did you go out and play football with your
friends? Yeah, I did.
And so clearly things started well, and it looked like this could be a really long career at Liverpool and a long time at Liverpool. And you didn't stay there maybe as long in the end as you had hoped. Tell us a little bit about when the realisation kind of sunk in that you were going to have a move and how that felt.
Well, it sunk in. It weren't the best for me because I just signed a new 4-year contract.
And Raheem Sterling had left by this point.
And everything just come at once. So Raheem left. I just signed a new contract with Ian with the club.
And you were going to be the man if Raheem Sterling had left.
And then Brendan's gone. So it's like all my people are going. And then obviously Klopp came in. And obviously he's going to want to have his own ethos and his own players and whatnot. And we had a conversation and it was good at first, but I don't really think he honoured it. And I'll have a book that's going to be coming out because it's not going to be one of them things where I sugarcoat stuff. You know, the truth has to be, known.
I think that's something that a lot of people will relate to, that they have somebody who will maybe make promises or say things in conversation, and both of you come out with different ideas of what's been said, and then suddenly you're a couple of months down the road and thinking, oh, hang on, this isn't what they said was going to happen. Yeah,
and a lot of things of like young players I've noticed, or even players in general, they'll hear something from their manager or whoever, and they'll be scared to bring it up because they don't want to, they're a bit scared to ruin their manager's reputation or something like that. But I'm here to speak the truth, like going forward.
What kind of things did you hear from Klopp that made you think that your future was definitely going to be under him? He was going to have you as his main man?
The conversations that we had when I first come, because he was really happy with how I was playing, because I was either starting a game or if I'm not starting, I was the first sub. And he always had this thing of, like, I knew when I was playing well because he would slap the back of my head. And he was really happy with me, and he said, he wanted me to take this into the new season. And then that changed because they signed a new player, and it wasn't the same story then.
Did you go back and try and have another conversation?
I did, and the response was, I think it's best you leave. Me being honest.
And how did that feel?
It hurt a bit. I didn't even get to say bye to anyone. And that's nothing to do with any of the Liverpool players, because I love all the Liverpool players that were there then, previous, and even the staff and everyone that's been there, because they looked after me well.
That must have been the first time, really, because you've been a star player all the way through your career. It must have been the first time that somebody had said, no, it's not happening. That's really difficult. And you were still very young at that stage as well, even though you actually had a few years under your belt by then.
Yeah. I was I would have been 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're still trying to deal with growing up, with coming to terms with everything, and then it all gets pulled away.
Yeah.
How was it?
It wasn't the best, and I had to move all the way down south to the other end.
It feels like, just looking at you now and how you're reacting to hearing almost that again, that you're reliving it a little bit. And
yeah, because I don't really like to talk on the past, but for this I'll just talk my truth.
Yeah. Is it stuff that you've been thinking about as you've been writing the book, as you've been putting that together? Are you going back to things?
Well, it's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff I think about. Yeah.
Do you find it hard to go back to?
Sometimes, because I know the state it could put me in, and during COVID time and a little bit before that, I had a bit of depression that I suffered with, and it wasn't the best. And I'm sure it wouldn't be the best for a lot of people during lockdown.
In terms of the move that you made, you went down to Bournemouth, obviously, going to the other end of the country, and it was a record signing for them, wasn't it, as well? And they, was putting a lot of faith in you. Was there anybody around you who was helping you, whether it was a sports psychologist, to say, right, this is, you're still so young, this is a really positive move. This is just a sideways step, perhaps, in your career that you can then kick on from?
Yeah, I have to give credit to Eddie Howe, because he was very patient with me. He understood everything that was going on, and he did, allow me just like on a Thursday, so I could go see someone to have a one-on-one conversation, like a psychiatrist or a counsellor. So I give him credit for that. And sometimes just before pre-season, I could go off and just do like a rehab so I can get my head in the right space. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
And how much do you feel that it helped having those regular sessions?
It did help a lot. There was a lot of tears. Not joking. There was a lot of tears, and it's not for me to say, because I don't want no one to sympathise over it. But it did help in some way during that time, because in COVID I was by myself. So I give credit to him, the person I was working with. There was one woman called Kirsty, and up north, and they had someone come in called Dave. I can't remember his surname, but them two, they helped me.
Just before we're going to move on a little on from a footballing sense, when you look back now, before the move, before you were told by Jurgen Klopp that he didn't want you, had you ever had any reason to believe that your mental health was not as robust, or not the way you wanted it to be? Because obviously these were issues you were dealing with, that Eddie Howe had kind of seen you need some space to deal with this. Was it that move that kind of triggered something?
It was something outside of football, to be fair. Just being robbed at gunpoint and with a machete, like in my own area.
And that triggered everything.
Correct. Yeah.
Jordon, it's interesting that you say that you don't want people to feel sympathy for you.
I don't, because I've told this story many times, so it's like people might think I keep repeating it, so I want, people, let's feel sorry for Jordon, and it's not that.
But equally, you're a young man. You've been the sort of head of your family, effectively, from the age of 14, 15. Whole family has been uprooted to somewhere that is really unfamiliar, where there aren't people that you kind of recognise around you. Then that's all been kind of this promise of everything that's there has been kind of snatched away from you. You've moved to the other end of the country again, and at the same time you've had a hugely traumatic incident. I mean, it feels as though you're kind of underplaying that. I mean, they are huge things to happen to you.
Yeah, I've probably had to numb it,
And I guess I understand when you're telling the story, you feel like you've told before and you don't want people to think that you're kind of looking for sympathy, but actually you're reaching different audiences, and it's so important for young men to know that they can talk about these things, and that those issues don't just stay latent somewhere and cause damage down the line in your life, and dealing with it is painful, right?
Very painful.
But
there was a lot of years, just before COVID and going through COVID. It wasn't the best. It was very dark.
Where did football come on your list of priorities at that time?
It would be at the bottom, because my daughter, my family, and me.
And this is
even doing that, I love my daughter to death, but even me being in that same state of mind, it was quite difficult as well.
Well, that's the depression, isn't it? That's, not being able to, care about things that you care about as deeply as you do for your daughter, and not to enjoy the things that you love, like football. That's what you started off by saying.
The kid that played on the streets after he'd played in a Premier League match, that's how much you loved football at that point.
It's, you have to get the balance, because like, as much as I love my family and my daughter, I need to take care of my mental health before I'm looking after everyone else.
So in terms of your career, I imagine at that point it didn't matter.
I didn't care about football. No.
And yet this was the thing that gave you so much joy.
Yeah, I've spoken to like some of my friends, and one of my friends called like Suave Sinatra. He does music, and we've come to this thing like in all whether it's football, sports, acting, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Why'd you say that?
Just because of just how it's gone for me and other football players that I know. Of course, some have gone and done well, but even when they've done well and they've got everything they want, there's no happiness at the end of it, and that could be with accolades and having money. It don't give you happiness and peace all the time.
Do you think football needs to do more when young men like you are kind of thrust into that environment to navigate that a little bit better?
Definitely, because it's when you think about a lifespan, it's only maybe 15-20 years of your life. There's so much you can do afterwards, and in my head, and I'm sure other young players, that's their world. They're thinking, when football finish, I finish, and there's so much else to do.
It defines you.
Yeah.
And you have to find you. Correct.
What was your way back to football from those dark places?
It took a while. I don't know. A lot of ups and downs, speaking with people, speaking with family, thinking I wanted to come back, knowing that I probably shouldn't right now. But it's just that I don't want to have this as a regret, So I thought to myself, wherever this takes me, I'm not giving up. As much as a lot of people, whether they're close family or friends, they've said, maybe you should try something else, I'm not listening to that.
And is football back giving you joy?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Playing in the 7th tier of English football currently?
It's giving me joy. Cause
Tell us about the difference in the experience, the day-to-day experience of playing in the league that you're in now.
It's very different. As I've said with the manager, as we saw beforehand, but it's more so for me to get around, being back in the changing room, being around the lads, that match day feeling, and even if I don't get on the pitch for a various reason, it's just being in that environment, because right now it's for me to just get my fitness back, and we see where the summer comes,
And baller, you're literally a baller now as well.
I've been a baller, but yeah, I give credit to KSI and the whole team, and John Terry letting me take part in that. So there's more exposure and more time for me to play football.
Tell us a bit about it. Tell us about the Baller League and how it all works, and how what your involvement is.
Well, I'm on the team with the 26ers for John Terry. There's various other teams with other influences, or Ian Wright, Layman, Dave, and some other people, and it's not going well right now because of maybe one ref. I'm joking, like the rules are different, but it's more entertaining.
Explain a little bit about the rules for anybody who hasn't.
Well, I can explain one rule. It's the one rule that really irritates me. So if we're defending, it doesn't matter what half it is. If they take a shot and it's deflected, it goes up for a corner. It 3 times, and we're playing like a 30-minute game. That's bound to happen. that turns into like a penalty or like a 1v1.
Right.
Can't do nothing about it. And there's some times in the game where some goals will count for 3 goals.
Do you know
Right,
what?
like a joker.
Yeah,
But
I prefer it to just be football.
I wonder if the people who've organised this have failed to take into account just how competitive professional footballers are.
Yeah, because it's been a bit of like a little bit of struggle sometimes. Like the managers and players are coming on the pitch. Even like John Terry come on the pitch, and he weren't really happy with Mark.
Yeah,
Neither was I, but I stayed out of the way.
We are going to take a deeper look at the Baller League on another episode of the Sports Agents and find out a little bit more about it and where it can go. And what it's because it's interesting. A lot of sports, we discuss all kinds of sports in the Sports Agents that have tried to attract new audiences, slightly changing the way they do things, the way boxing and and the various other kind of pugilistic sports have kind of changed. But football, it didn't feel needed a social media audience. You know, football is the biggest sport in the world. So I wonder what the end game is in terms of what they're trying to attract.
Well, I don't know there, but for me, my aspect of it is, young kids, whether it's a boy or girl or of any age, any gender, they can be like a few yards away from their icon, so to speak, and it's bringing the streets to people they look up to, and that could give them a sense of inspiration. Like, what?
So it's easier to go and watch than say a Premier League game for a kid.
So they could think to themselves, you know what, I can actually do it. I can actually make it in whatever I want to do.
Does it feel more like the football you were playing when you were a kid?
Nope.
What does it feel like then if it's not that? I just mean in terms of that closeness and the fact that it is these kind of five-a-sides.
For me, because I've played football in the Premier League and in the Championship and at some good heights, good football clubs. This is like more for entertainment, I think. But I'm still enjoying myself, just in case they want to keep me off it. I'm enjoying myself.
Does Hungerford feel like the kind of football you played as a kid? Like, does that feel closer to that first early passion?
Yeah, definitely. I've had my chat. I done like a little piece with location. I think it's to do with like Soccer AM, and they came in, and the manager spoke with the person that was there, and I had a little conversation. I just felt like a kid again, just playing football, just enjoying myself, just going past players. It was good.
What's next for you, Jordan? What's your ambition? You said you're kind of getting back to full fitness and working towards that. What's the goal for you?
Well, the goal for me is to get back to football. I've spoken with various clubs. My main thing is just to get fit. And I'm a big believer in God, so hopefully something comes my way. I know it will, and I'm glad that I've done this part of it of Baller League, because it's just opened me up to another thing of like maybe doing podcasting, so I can put my hands in all baskets.
When you're playing for Hungerford and you on a match stage, do other people in the opposition team who kind of go, hang on a minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got questioned a few times, like, mate, what are you doing there? And I just told them I want to play football, innit? But yeah.
And then they try and take you out.
They try, yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Getting targeted.
All the time.
Well, Jordan, it's really good to chat and have you here, and I know I can see it's hard to go back on those memories, but I think what you're doing and talking about your mental health is still a really important conversation for
it's for the younger generation, so they know and they can correct it.
And there's a whole new chapter for when your book gets updated.
Definitely.
Still to come.
Very soon.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jordan.
The Sports Agents
with Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.